Hi, insiders. I am so excited today. First of all, thank you so much for joining me. We have an awesome, awesome guest today, and we're so lucky to have her. So last week, or about 2 weeks ago, I posted a question asking for social media questions. You had burning social media questions, and you guys asked some really, really good questions. And I realized that I probably am not the best expert to answer those questions. So what do? We bring on the best expert. That's Jen. Different Jen, of course. This is Jen Herman from Jen's Trends. She is a social media consultant, a speaker, a globally recognized Instagram expert. She is the foremost blogger on Instagram marketing, and her blog, Jen's Trends, has won the title of Top 10 Social Media Blog in 2014, 15, and 16. So basically, she can't be stopped. And I have to admit, I've been following along since 2014. I'm like, who is this Jen that has my name and she's in social media? So I've been following you for a long time. I think you know that. And we've been kind of tweeting and sending baby presents and stuff like that. So, and through Jen's blog and consulting and speaking, she provides tips and resources and trainings for small business owners and medium-sized business owners that need structure around their social media strategies. Who doesn't love structure? Jen's going to bring us all of that structure. And she is also the author of The Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Instagram and Stop Guessing, your step-by-step guide to creating a social media strategy. Wow, Jen, that is a lot. So I'd say that she's qualified to chat with us today, don't you think? I think so.
I would hope so. I'm just excited to chat with you because, like you said, we've been chatting, but I think this is our first, real face-to-face. So this is just fun just for that purpose.
I know. And if you guys listen, you can hear Jen's 10-month-old daughter, Sabrina, in the background. She's joining us through the audio there.
She likes to, the moment Mama gets on the call, she likes to make her presence known. So you'll hear her giggling in the background and entertaining herself. So
that's okay. It's always the case. As soon as you're dialed into something, the babies are like, wait, what about me?
Of course.
So Jen, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time. And when I asked you to join, I thought there's no way. She's so busy. And I totally know what it is. You're running a business and you've got a full-time thing and you've got a baby. But you are here, and I so appreciate it. So I want to make the best use of your time, and I know you've had a chance to review some of our questions. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. We had one of our insiders, Desiree Patterson, asked a lot of good questions about a lot of different platforms. So she said, how do you utilize Pinterest for business, for Instagram? Is it good to have tons of hashtags, or should it be capped at 5 to 7? Any tips on how to get people to have a dialogue with you on Facebook and Instagram? And she posts questions a lot, and she gets some likes, but rarely any comments. So that's a great one. I know engagement is one of the top topics that comes up with social media. So what are your take on those questions?
So I'll challenge first the Pinterest one. That was the first thing she asked. So I am not the world's biggest Pinterest expert. I like it. I get results from it. But I will throw out a couple names because they're going to give you way more insight and information on Pinterest. So one of them is my really good friend, Jeff C. And his last name is actually spelled S-I-E-H.
Okay.
And he actually even has a Pinterest training program. He does manly Pinterest tips. It's his website. So it's kind of not just how to pin pretty pictures and recipes. It's really strategic. It's about business.
Oh, great.
He kind of built it in the manly kind of niche, but everybody can follow him. He's so good. He's so insightful, makes the best videos. So go check him out for really good Pinterest advice.
Is there free content there too? Is it just his paid? Okay, great.
Oh no, he has tons. He's got a blog, he's got videos, he's got everything on there.
Great.
And of course he's on Pinterest. So you can find him on Pinterest and get lots of insight there. And the other one is Rebecca Radice, which is Radice, and she is the Pinterest queen. I love her for everything Pinterest. Her blog is another award-winning blog as a top 10 blog. She's got so many great tips on Pinterest. So go follow the two of them, and they're really going to give you help. But basically, when it comes to Pinterest, you want to think about things as a Pinterest user. You want to think about it in any social media platform. You don't want to think about it explicitly as marketing. So let's say, and I don't know what Desiree's business is, but let's say
Desiree, just so you can have it in top of your mind, but she has a high-end linen company for weddings, beautiful.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, tablecloths, fabrications, all kinds of fabrics that are used for events.
So super awesome on Pinterest, which makes sense why she's asking about it. So let's use her business as an example. So you want to think about things that people are looking for on Pinterest outside of just what you do. Obviously, as a linen company, you're going to want to showcase your linens, but take it a step beyond. So do Pinterest boards related to different tablescapes. So think about themes. Maybe you do like seasonal tablescapes, and you can have things for, winter, autumn, spring, summer, and all the different. So you have a board just for all these types of things and ideas and inspirations. You can have one specifically for a wedding theme. You can have one for, a graduation theme, and make all these different boards related to themes and things that people who might be looking for linens would also be looking for on Pinterest. Think about their main pain points. The idea being you want them to follow you on Pinterest because you're giving them all these other great resources and advice. And then within all of those boards, you're also going to have your own boards for your own products. So that's where you're going to highlight things about what sets your quality apart, or what sets, your service level apart, or things like that. And so those pins you want to make sure pin right back to your website. You want them to go to your product pages, your landing pages, sales pages, opt-in pages, contact pages, wherever you want those pins to go, so that when people see those and they click on them, they end up going to your site. And also, one of the biggest mistakes people make on Pinterest is not using the pin descriptions. You know how many times we see a pin and it's like, cute.
Yeah.
You're like, don't do this.
So is the pin description searchable? Does it have a search function to it?
It does have search functionality in there. And you want to make, if you take somebody else's pin and you're repinning it to your board, which you totally want to do, you can customize that caption. If the caption on there is not ideal, redo it and make it sound awesome. And you could even, if it's a suggestion or a tip or recommendation, update it with information and provide that added value in your caption that makes people more willing to want to follow you and your pins, because they get more value than just a pretty picture. So that's a really short recap, but we could talk for hours, but I know we have a lot of questions, so that's gonna I'll end it on that for that Pinterest tip.
Yeah, and I really like what you said. It all kind of comes back to having value, creating value for the user, so they come to you as a place of information and resources, and then ultimately land on your product or service because you're providing great value that's attracting the right target customer.
Exactly. So, always think about their pain points. And this is going to apply whether Desiree's looking at it, whether it's from Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, anything else. You want to think about what they're looking for. So are you going after the venues? Are you going after the people who are going to be the more likely to rent the linens from you for their customers? Or are you going after the end user who's going to go to the venue? Because targeting those two people are completely different in how you're going to market your content and where you're going to put your focus. So that's going to affect how you build out a strategy for any platform. Who are you specifically marketing to? And if you're going after those venues, you're going to want a different strategy than if you're going after the one-off opportunities from someone who's doing a backyard party or those types of things.
Yeah, that's a great point. You can have maybe multiple target demos, and I think the best one to focus on is where the money's coming from. So so focus on that primarily. And then Desiree also asked about Instagram, and we know you know Instagram. So give us a little bit on that.
So we'll go through a couple points that she asked about, which was the hashtag. So in the past, I've said about 5 to 10 is kind of ideal. For a lot of people who are starting out on Instagram, they feel like that's a lot. So if you're uncomfortable, do 5 to 10. You can go up to 20. Comfortably. 30 is the max, and you do not want to hit 30, because once you've hit 30, you can't do any more. Or if you go over, and I've made this mistake, so I now count all my hashtags, but if you start typing in a post and you put more than 30 hashtags, Instagram will post your photo and not the caption.
Oh, interesting.
And then you have to go in and delete it and start all over again. So go for about 10 to 20 is kind of the ideal. The more you use, the more reach you're going to get. Now, what I always tell people is you want to think strategically about your hashtags. You're not using hashtag Kim Kardashian, hashtag love, hashtag iPhone, or any of these high popular ones. They're not going to work for you. They're not helping your business. You want to build it around the hashtags that are specific and relevant to your business and your content. So pick some popular ones. So for example, again, Desiree, you might want to do something along the lines of hashtag wedding, hashtag wedding planning. Anything like that. Those are going to be your big kind of popular ones. And then you want to pick some moderately popular. So when I say popular, I'm talking like in the millions, like 500,000 or more posts associated with that hashtag. And when you start typing it in, you'll see how many posts are associated with that hashtag. So you'll know if it's really popular or not. And then the less popular ones are the ones you want to dominate. These are the ones where you want to own that content. So these are the ones that might be more specific to, you know, banquets or event planning or other things like that that are more after your specific target audience and less about mass reach in general. And those are going to get you into that ideal hashtag hub where when someone finds that, they're going to see all of your content in there. And that's where you want to dominate. Doing that is where you find your real target audience. So the popular ones get you the initial burst of activity. Those moderately popular ones get you your clients. You want to use them both and you want to use them strategically. Now, when it comes to hashtags, I always get asked caption or comment.
That was my next question. Yes.
I always say caption. I like them there, especially the popular ones, because if you post them in a comment after the fact, any delay in what it takes you to go back in and upload paste or whatever, by the time you do that, you've lost a momentum for those popular ones. So
it delays. So it goes back to the timing of when you posted the photo, but
not
the tag doesn't come in until. Yes. So when you're in that feed of a busy hashtag, you're already pushed to the bottom.
Exactly, and that's what you do not want.
Okay, because I do it. I post it in the comments because I don't like in the not the first caption, but the comments, because I don't like how clunky it looks when you have all these hashtags loaded in there. But I realize what you're saying. You've kind of lost some of that time frame. Even a minute could push you down.
15 seconds could cost you. So what I recommend, and because a lot of people are like you, Jen, and they don't necessarily want all of their hashtags in that initial caption. So put your popular ones, put your 5 really popular ones in the original caption and get that initial boost of engagement. And then you can put everything else in a subsequent comment, where those ones, it's okay if you're a 30-second, 2-minute delay, because those ones aren't going to run out of content. So you can split them up that way.
Oh, that's a really good point. Yeah, so like I've created my own hashtag, and some of our clients have their own hashtags, so they could put that in the comment rather than the caption, because it's not flooded with stuff. It's mostly their okay.
Yeah, so you can totally split them out. Just know which ones you want to do before you get in there, so you're not, do I want this one? Do I plan it out and have your caption. And what a lot of people can do is you can go into a note, whether you use Evernote or the notepad, go in and type up your caption with those hashtags, copy it, and then go into Instagram and upload and hit paste. And that way you're not trying to figure it out when you get in there.
Yeah, I do that all the time. That's great to have just a running, because who can remember? I'm sitting there typing hashtag. So having it ready and grab, copy and paste, and maybe add a few more based on what the content is.
Exactly.
That's a great tip. And then it goes back to the engagement, and that question kind of came up from a couple different insiders. So we also had Danny Gilman that asked about engagement and reach, and Aisha, who is in South Africa. I'm like so excited. I know, how cool is that? It's so great. And I got an email today from somebody in Scotland. It's like this Facebook community is just awesome. So I have to say.
That is so awesome.
So awesome. So a couple people had the same thing about how do you encourage engagement? What's the ideal time? And I know Instagram has now changed their algorithm, so that's had an impact. So can you just kind of riff on those topics, because they're coming up a lot?
I totally can. So first and foremost, and this goes against what a lot of the experts say. So you don't have to agree with me, but I have statistics to prove it. And that is post less content.
Okay.
So here's the thing. Facebook is just like a funnel of tidal wave of content, right? It's just people just can't, everyone's posting, and it's, I post more content, more stuff will get seen, and we're flooding our feeds with content. Well, what happens is Facebook looks at it and goes, yeah, we don't want to show everybody all of that. And they lower your reach, and they lower your reach, and they lower your reach. So everyone's seeing a small snippet of what you have to share. And because you're sharing more content, let's face it, a lot of it's mediocre content. It ends up being, what can I put out there just to get something out there?
Right.
And in doing that, your audience goes, they don't care. It's not the best. It's not relevant to them. The stuff they end up seeing isn't your ideal content. And so they don't engage. So what you want to do is post less content, but the best content you can create. So I am saying if it doesn't make you go, oh my God, they need to read this, you don't post it. That's my news. That's my bar of expectation when I post to Facebook. Okay. So if I don't post for 3 days because nothing was, oh my gosh, it has to be there, I'm okay with that. I would rather post 2 or 3 times a week than 2 or 3 times a day. And in doing that, you're getting more reach, first of all. And then you're getting better engagement because people are like, oh, this is really shareable content. Or, oh, this was really great. Thank you for sharing this with me. So you're going to get more reaction and therefore more engagement in the long run. But beyond that, you need to invite people to participate. The hardest thing that a lot of people don't realize is they share something and they put 2 words or a half a sentence or a 1-sentence caption and they expect people to respond. And no one's going to respond if you just say, hey, great new article to read. So summarize maybe 1 or 2 key points in that article, or to say why it struck a chord with you, or ask a question, oh my gosh, you guys, I just read this article. It totally changed my perspective on this topic. Tell me if it did the same thing for you. Or something like that where you want to ask that, kind of invite that engagement in, and you'd be surprised how much more engagement you get when you do that.
Like ask an open-ended question or give me your thoughts. Ask for some feedback to encourage commenting.
And that goes across all the boards. That goes through Facebook and Instagram. The more you can do to offer that opportunity, the more likely they are to respond and engage. And then when they do, you have to respond back. Because if you leave them hanging, they're not going to come back and respond again. So I'm not saying you have to be, stalking your computer and like 30 seconds later responding to them, but within a reasonable time, a few hours to a day, you should be responding. And even if it's just thanks for your input or glad you enjoyed it too, it could be a really simple response, but you want to build that community engagement. Yeah. And the more others see that, it's like that social proof, and they go, oh, well, I want to comment and I want to talk to them and the next thing you know, it becomes kind of this momentum building process that you get more and more engagement.
Yeah, it's about just building like a rapport and being and customers, they like to be acknowledged. And so, if they're taking the time to comment, it's appropriate to take the time to acknowledge that in some way.
Yeah, absolutely. And Instagram, rapport. People will find is more engaging than Facebook. People, and the reason why is because, as we all know, if you comment on something on Facebook,
you get the notifications.
Yeah, and then everyone else sees it, and now it's showing up everywhere. Yeah. Some of us just like to cyber stalk. We just hang out in the background and read everything, but we don't want to tell people we actually like something.
Right.
So if your engagement isn't really high on Facebook, that's okay. What you want to do is go into your insights and look and see how much reach you got and how many clicks you got. Okay. So if you're writing a long paragraph description and they have to hit that more button to read the rest of it, they clicked on it to read it. That means they're engaging.
Okay.
So look at those types of things in your insights more than just how many actual likes and comments you're getting.
So do you get insights on a personal page, or does it have to be a brand page? And then
it has to be the brand page.
And then where do you access that?
So when you go into your business page, right up at the top, there's the whole toolbar, and there's the Insights tab. And you go right in there, and it'll show you your most 5 recent posts, and you can hit See All, and it'll show you all your posts, and it gives you a whole data, like how much reach you got, how many clicks you got, how many likes and comments, and all that kind of stuff. So it breaks it out, and that's a good way to go through and see, too, what's performing better. Are photos performing better? Are videos performing better? Are links performing better? That sort of thing. And if I would be remiss if I didn't throw in that Facebook obviously does Facebook Live video.
Yeah.
And if
I love.
I need to do more of it. I was doing so good during Marketing World, and now I'm like, I just haven't had time.
I've been doing them every week.
Yes,
and
I know,
it's
you're
my most
on
engaged
it.
content. And this week, instead of a live video, because you and I are in different locations, we're doing this recorded Skype call.
Yep.
So, I just feel like that content is just, you get so much more reach with it. And the whole time that you're live, it actually pushes out to as many people as it can while you're live. Yep. You get that notification, and that period is like a real golden time to get extensive reach, more than any other traditional Facebook post.
Oh, for sure.
So
it's like, and the longer you can stay on that video, the longer or the more engagement you get, because the more reach you get. So if you go on a Facebook Live and you're on there for 5 minutes, well, those people have to be on for those 5 minutes that you're on to see it. But if you're on for 20, 30, 40 minutes, the amount of people that are turning into Facebook, all of those people are going to see you at the top of their feed if you're live. So you're going to get way more reach and engagement because people are more likely to respond. But keeping that in mind, if it's not like a regularly scheduled program, like I know you do yours every week and it's kind of like a set thing, but if you're just randomly going on, make sure that throughout the video, you're telling people, remind them of the topic, remind them why you're here, remind them to say, hey, if you're just joining in, make sure you leave a comment below if you want to chime in with questions, or like invite that regularly through the video. A lot of times we get into the habit of being like, okay, I started my video, did my intro, and we just talk and talk and talk and talk. And then it's like, oh, I'm done my video. And someone comes in halfway through, they're like, what was this?
Yeah.
So keep an eye on that when you're doing your live videos too, and make sure you're welcoming. If you see numbers jumping up of people chiming in, always make sure you're reminding them that you are live. Thanks for coming in, and keep that conversation kind of dialogue going, and that invites them to engage more as well.
Yeah, and I will say too, those are great tips. And I will say too that I really like how you can save the video. It'll save in your page, and then you can save it on your iPhone, because you have to record for now on your phone. You can't record via the web, and then you can also go into the video, and instead of like a a screenshot, a thumbnail,
which mine are always the worst.
Right, I'm always like and then you can go in and sort of pick one that's a little better, and you can also edit the caption, so you can change the heading and add some context to what the video is about. So it gives you some more tools after the fact, so people can stumble on that video and have some context and want to watch it too.
Great points.
Yeah. So I love Facebook Live. If you have an opportunity, you should get on. It would be great. It would be I would watch it for sure. So, and then I know some of the questions were kind of geared towards like those algorithms and things that impact reach, and you touched on it a little bit with the quality and less so about the frequency or quantity, but are there any other little tidbits you can share with us?
So there are a lot, and I'm not a system, gamer. Like, I hate being that person who's like, okay, if you do these 3 things, you'll increase your reach by 38%. Like, I'm not up for the gaming of the system, but there are certain things you can do, and we don't have a ton of time, so I'm going to recommend people go over to my blog, which is jenstrends.com, and that's Jen with 2 N's.
We'll post a link below the video too.
Perfect. But if you go on there, I just recently wrote a blog post which was titled "How I Maintain 20% engage or reach on Facebook."
I read it,
and I have a whole bunch of tips in there. So those are all really good things to keep in mind in terms of not beating the algorithm, but working with the algorithm. So you want to think about, like we said, about the better quality content. You want to think about posting times. And this is, I hate when you read these posts that come out and they're like, the best time to post on every platform. And then everyone starts posting at 6:00 p.m.
Right.
And I do this. I'm like, stop it. It drives me crazy, because that is not true. That is a massive generalization. That's like saying avoid rush hour traffic. Well, okay, we all know that. But what is rush hour traffic? I mean, for you, you're 3 hours ahead of somebody else. You need to find out what works for you, not what everyone says. So whether it's Facebook or whether it's Instagram, you want to test your own pages. Again, if you go to Facebook, you have that Insights tab. You can actually go to one of the tabs within there, and it shows you when your audience is most active on Facebook. So if they're most active at 3:00 p.m., you want to be posting around 3:00 p.m. If they're most active at 2:00 in the morning, you better start scheduling some posts at 2:00 in the morning.
Or when you're up with your baby.
Or you're right. So you want to make sure that you're finding out what works best for you. And it's going to take some trial and error, and understand that it evolves, especially on a platform like Instagram where you're going to have faster growth. You might go in there and this week be like, okay, Thursday at 6:00 is my ideal posting time. But in a month, when you have 100 new followers, it might be Wednesday at 4:00. So understand that is in flux as your audience changes. And things to keep in mind, if you determine your best posting time is 5:00 p.m. on Thursday, let's say, that doesn't mean post at 5:00 on Thursday. That means post at 4 or 4:30 at least, because on Instagram, you want to post within about a half hour to 45 minutes of your ideal posting time, so that you're closer to the top of the feed, even though the algorithm mixes it up a little bit. But you want to be close to when they're most active on Instagram, but not after. So if you're saying your ideal time is 5:00, what if they logged on at 4:55 and you posted at 5? Well, now you've missed them. So you want to get on early. Facebook, you actually want to be on maybe an hour to 2 hours, even 3 hours before that ideal time, because it's so saturated that the algorithm will actually delay your post time significantly. So rarely does your post go out on a business page when you actually post it. So if your ideal posting time is 5 o'clock, try posting at like 2 or 3. And when it comes to Facebook, I never post on an even or like on the right time or number. Like, I will not post at 4 o'clock or 4:15. I post at like 4:09 or 4:26 because everyone is posting at 4:15 or 4:10. And if your content goes out at the exact same time as thousands of other posts, you're more likely to get hidden in the saturation overload. So if you can post at a random time, I rarely post anything live to Facebook. Even if I have something and I'll schedule it, I can schedule it out for 15 minutes ahead of time. I'm posting it now. I'll schedule it for 23 minutes from now.
Right.
Because I don't want to get that awkward time frame. I want to make sure I'm picking that ideal time. So keep that in mind as well when you're talking about how to, work with that algorithm. Not only, like I said, the best content, but you want to think about the best time and then the timing factors within that. So those are some of the kind of the best key points. Go check out my blog post for some of the other ones. That'll kind of give you some other helpful things.
It was a great read. Yeah, a lot of really good, like just very smart and savvy tips, but also I like how you're not gaming the system. You're working with it, and you know that people that try to cheat the system or beat the system, it's kind of like not as reliable as just kind of working within what is already in place and making the most of it.
And it always comes down to, no matter what any of these tactics are, like I always laugh and joke because I'm like, I'm going to tell you this and tomorrow Instagram will change something and next day Facebook will change something and one of these tips will be completely irrelevant. So as long as you're giving the best quality content for your audience, you're always going to have success. It's not going to happen overnight. None of these tricks work overnight. They're a longevity plan. It's not meant to be something that all of a sudden you're going to get, triple your reach. But over a period of a month, 2 months, 3 months, if you do these things, you'll see regular growth. And that's what is the most important.
Yeah, that's good. Consistency, and that reaches towards regular growth. Yeah, I love that. And then the last question that we had on the social media topic, and maybe I'm better equipped to handle this one because it's about law, but it's actually one of my law school classmates, Nina Reese, and she says, how does a lawyer or a law firm effectively use social media outside of the occasional work that she posts on a personal page, because she doesn't think that the company pages work well for the industry, and links to articles you may either author or be quoted in. So do you have any thoughts on that?
I have a lot of thoughts on that.
Okay, good.
And it depends on your platform again. So you want to think about the platform. So there's a lawyer here in San Diego. His name is Jacob, and I can't remember his last name off the top of my head. It's like a really hard name to pronounce. But he's like the San Diego immigration lawyer, or San Diego immigration lawyer, something like that on Instagram. Sorry, I don't have it handy. But he does a great job of building a persona, a brand on Instagram. So he's not posting about law. He's posting about who he is as a person. And he shows his family, and he shows all the people in his office. And he's built up this huge, following because people trust him. They're like, and the immigration law, let's face it, can be kind of sketchy, right? You're like, especially for people who, I'm an immigrant. I came from Canada. So I know what that's like, and picking a lawyer that you can trust. And are they going to, do shady things or do
take
it the
your
right
money
way?
and
You don't know. And so he's built this persona that people now trust him. They know who his kids are. They know who all of his employees are. They know where his office is. So that when they need that immigration lawyer, they love going to him, and they refer him to everybody because they have a relationship with him. Now, Facebook is a little bit different. You don't want to be necessarily quite so, friendly brand development type thing from that perspective, but you still want to keep that in mind. And understand that on Facebook, most people are not going to physically like your content, because the moment they do, they're showing their friends and family that they are looking into a lawyer for divorce, or a lawyer to sue somebody, or they're looking into, bankruptcy law, and all of a sudden everyone knows their personal business. So Facebook is a really hard place to engage with your audience because they don't want people to know. So what you want to do is create content that is more valuable than just that as a lawyer from that perspective. So do articles and share articles that are like, the top 10 tips to money saving, for back to school, or things like that that are related to your financial law, but that aren't necessarily, about financial law. And you provide these tips and resources that help these to become shareable content. These are things that aren't just related to a law firm. It makes people want to engage, makes people want to share this content, makes them feel smart. And then when the time comes and they actually need a lawyer, they know you, they trust you, they know that you've been taking care of them, and they'll reach out to you that way. So it's a really hard thing to build on Facebook, but it can totally be done. You just have to be a little bit more, like we were talking about with Desiree, and the pain points for the business.
Yeah.
Who are you going after? What do they really care about? What does your legal firm specialize in? And how else can you target that content without being like, it's legal?
Right. Because how fun is that anyway, right?
Right.
But yeah, no, that's great. That's great advice. And that's how we talk about, we do social media here for our clients as well. And we always talk about building out their pages and not being so focused on their brand, but just content that their target customer would find valuable and interesting, and building that sense of community so that they want to visit the page again, even if they're not buying the product.
Exactly.
So that perfectly translates over to, any kind of profession or trade, not just a brand. So I love hearing that, because it's consistent with our approach and what we tell people to do. So,
and if you have the opportunity as a lawyer to do anything, whether it's ebooks or webinars or podcasts or Facebook live videos, and provide any sort of, I know we don't want to provide legal advice. Right. We're not a legal client, because he gets you into a whole lot of mess. Right. But if there's anything you can do via any of those vehicles, use Facebook ads to promote that out, so people find out about you on Facebook. And then they can also run that same ad on Instagram as well, because we all know Instagram and Facebook are interconnected, and their platforms for ads are interconnected.
Yeah.
But if you have that opportunity to share that live content, do that and build your audience that way.
And you can geolocate on the ads too.
Yes.
So if you're looking for somebody in your community, you can look for local and just go after that, and only pay for people that you actually want to see.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And keep your ad costs down. I mean, I'm running an ad right now. I spent $20 on it for a 4-day ad, and it's reached 5,000 people.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, you can totally do it, and it doesn't have to cost you an arm and a leg.
Very good. Wow, Jen. That's a lot of really good advice. I am so appreciative of your time, and you gave us a ton of gems here that I'm going to use in my own business as well. I'm going to rethink those hashtags in the comments versus the captions. Yes. I love what you said about focusing on the more popular ones at the top, so you get that instant reach, and then maybe the slower ones go down in the comments, because that gets asked all the time. I'm going to definitely quote you and attribute that genius back to you. But thank you for being here. I really, really appreciate it. And this video is going to go out to our community, and I'd love for you to share it with your community as well, because I think they'd get a lot of value from all of that.
I'm happy to, absolutely.
Yeah, so thank you guys so much for being here. Jen, thanks so much. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk to you guys soon.